Hi, my name is Jay Sidebotham. I serve as Director of Renewal Works. I am an Episcopal priest. I've been ordained for a few years, okay, maybe a few decades, but it's my honor to be asked to do this selfie reflection as we begin this Epiphany journey with the Good Book Club reading through the book of Romans, the longest letter attributed to St. Paul. The first of the letters in the canon. Maybe it's the first because it's the longest. It's a wonderful letter that has had transformative impact on the church throughout the centuries, whether it was the time of St. Augustine or the time of Martin Luther or the time of Karl Barth after the First World War. And I think it's exciting to think about the Episcopal Church reading the letter to the Romans at this time in our important work that we're doing as the Episcopal branch of the Jesus movement. So I'm honored to be part of these selfie reflections with missional voices for the letter to Romans. There's so much to say. I'll try to keep it brief. I've been asked to reflect on the first two chapters, which is really Paul's introduction as he writes this letter to a church that he didn't know and had never been to Rome, and was really using it as an introduction before he went and visited Rome, and used that as a base to go even further west in his ministry. The guy was unstoppable and a real spiritual entrepreneur. And so this letter, in its great length, is an opportunity for Paul to explain what his theology is. And in the first two chapters, he sets it up. He begins with thanksgivings and salutations as he greets these people in a most generous kind of diplomatic way, as he's going to begin to make his case. I think the most important thing about the first two chapters is are two verses in the first chapter, which in many ways are a summation not only of the letter to the Romans and its intent, but also a summation of all of Paul's theology. So let me read those two verses for you. It's chapter 1, verses 16 and 17. For I am not ashamed of the gospel. It is the power of God for salvation to everyone who has faith, to the Jew first and also to the Greek. For in it the righteousness of God is revealed through faith for faith. As it is written, the one who is righteous will live by faith, a citation from the book of Habakkuk. Here's the deal. You could spend years just parsing those two verses. Every word you could write a commentary on, I suspect. But he's basically saying that this is good news, and it's for everybody, and it is appropriated not by hard work, but by faith. And ultimately, the message of this letter is that love wins. The first two chapters set up the stage and give a bit of a diagnosis of the issues that all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, as you'll find in chapter 3. Paul makes that case in this letter. But take a look at those first verses in chapter 1, verses 16 and 17. Use them as a guide as you make your way through the rest of the letter. It's kind of, those verses are kind of an overture. And I'm so excited to see what happens when we read the letter of Romans together as a denomination. God bless.